Welcome back to Rochester Living with Mark Siwiec and Corey James Moran, brought to you by Elysian Homes by Mark Siwiec and Associates. This is episode 202. Mark, let me see your hands. Finger check. Coming off the 4th of July. We got them all?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Actually, our guests might be able to weigh in on this. We have the president and CEO of both Strong Memorial Hospital and Highland Hospital, Kathy Parrinello. Is it true that there's a skyrocket in injuries when there's fireworks involved? Or
yes,
is this a
it
myth?
is.
Okay,
yes,
very true.
it is.
Yeah.
Lots of different injuries over the holiday season, especially in the summer when people are, the weekend athletes, people that are out and about and doing things that might be things they don't do normally. So we do see
So
an increased number of
weekend
injuries.
warriors, that's really a thing during the 4th of July or the summer holidays?
Holidays, summertime, we do see more injuries related to things people are doing, having fun, but...
Is there like planning for that? Are the nurses bracing for impact when these holidays are approaching?
Well, I think the weekends that we really brace for are the weekends of the major runs or major events, especially if the weather is really hot.
People
then we
coming
do
in dehydrated and
Yes. So we do prepare for when there are big events in the community on the weekend. We often prepare and make sure that we have the right number of people on and certainly think about the type of injuries or illnesses we might see related to people being outdoors for a long time in the heat and that kind of thing.
Wow.
Sunburns?
Sunburns and then barbecue burns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I almost lost my eyebrows one time.
Did you really?
It was just one of those deals.
There you go. It happens.
Wow.
It does happen.
You're doing okay? You had a good holiday weekend?
Doing good, yeah. I did not watch fireworks, and not only did I not watch fireworks, I did not watch stories on Instagram of other people watching fireworks either.
There we go.
So none.
Do you know what I did?
We were in bed earlier. What did you do?
Nothing.
There you go.
Literally, it has just been...
Hammondsport?
Yeah, we were down in Hammondsport.
There we go.
And from January until just this past weekend, it's just been 7 days a week, one day after another. So it felt really good to just sit back and
take a breath, yeah,
and catch my breath. Thank God. Yeah.
Kathy, how about you? How was your 4th?
My 4th was great. I unpacked.
There we go.
That's right.
Oh, did you buy a house?
I did, Mark. You know that. I bought a house that you were selling.
That's
yes,
right.
And I moved in July 2nd, and so was happy to be off on the 4th.
There we go, nice.
The long weekend, and I unpacked the whole weekend.
And you are a great example of the right buyer for the right house. I mean, honestly, I think that is a really great place for you in terms of the size, in terms of the location, in terms of the condition, all of that. I'm really, really happy for you.
I love it.
Good.
I love it. So thanks.
Good.
I was thrilled. Katie Hanrahan
Yes.
was my real estate agent who worked with you, and it was great.
And she was great. She was great to deal with. Just
Smooth
wonderful.
transactions, awesome.
Yes, exactly. Isn't that nice? Yeah.
Currently dealing with...
Didn't screw that one
Happy
out.
customers.
Yeah. Yay.
I'm currently dealing with one of my listings where the buyer is also representing themselves, and they're a divorce attorney. So imagine how that's going.
Oh, wow. We'll have to talk about that offline.
We'll be fine. It'll be fine. They're always fine eventually. Just a little dramatic in the moment. Let's get to some more real estate talk here. Again, not a ton to get to, but let's get to the update at least. Just a tiny jump in listings from last week, which again, relatively speaking, was kind of dead going into the holiday. So coming out of the holiday in Monroe County, there's 507 single-family active listings on the market, up from 489. 6-county region saw a little bit of a jump as well. It's at 928, up from 903. Were you expecting a bigger jump there?
I don't know what to expect these days.
Yeah, fair.
It's
an
just
honest answer.
It is the market is so mercurial at the moment. But what is interesting is that I think that over the course of the past 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, we're noticing a steady increase, and that's not only, as we've discussed, new properties coming on the market for sale, but properties that are existing that are on the market for sale that aren't actually selling. As immediately
10
as,
seconds.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, even I think it was maybe Redfin we made one of their lists. We were one of the top selling and fastest selling markets in the country. Average day in markets 12 last year. That's risen now to 16.
Okay.
So it's not a lot, but it's enough to indicate that things are taking longer to sell at this point in time. So
Sure. Is it a trend? Do we get back to what it was? We're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, right. I mean, because every other day, there are new pronouncements being made having to do with tariffs, no tariffs. we're going to extend the tariffs, and so
Policy.
all of that, and then of course, the passage of the budget this past week. So, I mean, I think all of these things are weighing heavily on the minds of buyers and sellers alike, and until there's just a little bit more stability, and we've talked about this, repeatedly. So I just don't know if that stability is forthcoming anytime soon. So we'll see.
I mean, we'll have a pretty big indicator, at least
Yes.
in terms of inflation next week. CPI comes out, I believe, Tuesday. So that will be a good benchmark for us, I guess. I mean, it used to be. I don't know if it is anymore.
Well, it will be interesting to see whether or not any of these proposed tariffs are starting, in some of those that have actually taken effect, are they going to start to impact the cost of goods? And the theory is that, and economists, pundits alike, are all just a little surprised that we haven't actually started to see some of the impact of tariffs. And again, it's been minimal so far.
Sure.
But at what point in time do these tariffs begin to impact fiscal policy as a result of inflation going up? So it hasn't happened yet. It could happen next Tuesday. We'll see.
In terms of mortgage rates,
And by the way, my apology, when it does, that first blip upward,
panic.
because it's going to be the indication like, oh shit, it's finally starting to happen.
Yeah, it's the rocket taking off.
Yeah, that is exactly right. Yeah.
Mortgage interest rates are up from last week. It was 6.67 last week, which looked pretty good. We're up to 6.81 right now.
Yeah.
For the 30-year 15, it was under 6 at 5.91. Now we're at 6.02.
Yeah.
For that. Again, still expectation is that there's going to be cuts later this year, but as you just mentioned, that could all unravel relatively quickly.
I mean, with the passing of the budget last week, and again with renewed tariff talk and conversation, I think the pronouncements that we were relating last week, that which was being discussed in the pages of the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, et cetera, I think that all of those prognostications at this point in time are being revised.
Yeah.
One week, it's like, oh, maybe it's not two cuts, so we'll see.
I'll take one.
Yeah.
One would be nice.
One would be awesome.
Let's get to our guest. Should we say happy anniversary? Because it's been a year
Yes.
in the position, right?
Yes,
Is it a full year?
July 1st.
There we go.
July 1st.
Just celebrating.
last
Look
year,
at
yes.
that. Wow. Celebrating
Yeah.
that, going into the new house. You got a lot going on.
A lot going on. A lot of good things, for sure.
Mark, you were also chatting about how, before we started recording, how grateful you are that she's here with us right now, given how busy you are. I mean, being the president and CEO of 2 major hospitals, and then how active you are as well. We had some really good pickleball talk before you got here, actually. So that's one of your things.
Well,
Paddle
yes.
sports.
Yeah, I love racket sports. I grew up playing tennis with my siblings. I have a lot of siblings, so we could always get a tennis match going. And grew up playing on the city playgrounds out in northeastern Ohio, which is where I grew up. And then moving to Rochester, was introduced to this new game, paddle or platform tennis, which loved to play in the wintertime.
Yep.
And then pickle came along. And
It's the craze
so
now, right?
It's the craze. And I do pickle just for fun. I don't do it really well, but I do it for fun. Have a number of friends that love to play, and I've enjoyed it.
I could not. I mean, it's remarkable that I do as well as I do in the yoga studio, given my 2 surgeries,
Yeah.
shoulder surgeries.
Oh.
Yeah, rotator
I feel
cuff
like you
surgery.
could still
both-
pickle.
Both. Sides?
Yeah, bilateral. Yeah, two different years.
You can still pickle.
So, but iliovolution.
Pickle you can because
Low impact.
Yeah, it's a lower impact.
All right, maybe.
He just doesn't want to.
Platform tennis not. That's a heavy ball, and that can be.
Yeah,
you know,
no, I'll stick to handstands.
There you go.
There we go. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Can I just jump?
Yeah.
I am. One of the things I'm most excited about here is this is like, it's such an inspiring story. The little that I know.
Oh,
It's 1975,
yes,
and you're a nurse at Strong Memorial Hospital.
that's right.
It's night
Fast-
shift, right?
Fast
Well,
forward.
I did work. Yes, all nurses work night shifts, so yes, I did.
Fast forward to 2024, and you become CEO. I mean, like, walk us. It's really insane.
Yeah. Well, it's been a Strong Memorial is a great place. I must
God,
say,
yeah.
great place to grow one's career, and a great place to really learn a lot about patient care and work with wonderful people that really care about patients. So, I spent my early years as a practicing nurse in surgical nursing, and then pretty early on gravitated towards leadership in nursing. So nurse managers, nursing director, that kind of thing. And then I had the opportunity in the later 90s to actually move into central hospital administration, which I was really surprised at myself that I would want to do that, but I did because of a mentor of mine at the time, and thoroughly loved hospital administration. Had some great mentors in hospital administration, Leo Bordeaux, Steve Goldstein, that I worked with for many years. And then, lo and behold, a year ago, when Dave Linehan became the CEO and dean of the entire health system, he asked me to be president of Strong and Highland, which I was thrilled to do.
Now, let's go back to when you first started.
Yeah.
You're doing those overnights.
Yeah.
Is this even a thought in your mind that this is possible?
You know, it wasn't a thought in my mind. I actually went to school when I was a practicing nurse to be a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
So I did my master's and I did all the coursework, and all of a sudden, instead of practicing as a nurse practitioner, I moved into a leadership role instead, and that was kind of what really changed the course of my career, even though at one point I thought I was going to practice as a nurse practitioner.
I mean, how rare is it for someone to stay within the same company their
that's
entire career?
great question.
I mean, doesn't
Yeah.
it, now if you're there for 2 years, it's you know, you're a senior level, right?
Yeah, you're right. A lot more turnover today than there was. I will say that I did spend a couple of years in Chicago in the late '80s. My husband's move at the time, and worked at Rush Presbyterian in Chicago. So I haven't always been at Strong, but
You're a
you know,
boomerang. You came back. That's
for
all
all
that matters.
intents and purposes, yes. But you're right. Even though I have a number of colleagues at both Highland and Strong that have been in those organizations their whole career, it is less common today to stay in the same
Well,
organization.
it says something about the culture of those two institutions.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. I think it does. I think it does.
But I want to go back to you just sort of like glossed over the fact that, like, you know, this meteoric rise, and then in between,
Yeah.
you're a wife, you're a mother, you get a PhD in there somehow or another in the
Yeah,
middle
I
of all
did.
that, and you're just so. It just seems so effortless. Like you just
Yeah.
did this. Do you look back now and think, how the hell did this happen?
Well, yes, I look back now that I'm older and think, how did I ever have the energy to do all that? Because
Yeah.
you're right. The wonderful thing, though, about the university is the tuition benefits.
Oh, there you go.
So, you know, I was an undergraduate at the U of R. Actually got a scholarship to go to the U of R. That's how I got here from Northeastern Ohio. And then after working, you know, I was able to get my master's and my doctoral degree using my tuition benefits. So
That's
it's
great.
a wonderful way to grow your career, working for a company that does, you know, provide those opportunities.
And your PhD is in business, I think?
No, my PhD is in education administration out of the Warner School.
Right? Why not?
Yeah, sure. Of course. From a leadership standpoint, I mean, that has to be such an advantage when you're talking to everyone that you know works for you, because you've been through all of it. You know,
Yeah.
you've walked the walk. It makes me think, you know, it's like kind of on steroids. But when Wegmans brings somebody on that's kind of higher level, they have them go through all the different jobs so that they have that perspective. I mean, you were living that day to day. That wasn't just, you know, a month-long process. That was, you know, your life.
Yeah, I think there is a lot to be said to working in an organization in multiple positions. And I will say there are a number of leaders in our organization that have done that. My colleague, Dr. Mike Apostolakos, who's the chief medical officer, he was a resident at the U of R. He was a young pulmonary physician at the U of R. He was the director of critical care at the U of R Strong, and now he's CMO. So, I think there is a lot to be said for individuals that have worked in the organization in multiple jobs, because they can appreciate the work that needs to be done and the stress and strain that can occur, you know, in those jobs where you're day to day, you know, in the trenches, really trying to make things happen.
Well, and then the motivational factor for the employees as well, because they're seeing it's been done. The trail has been blazed. There's a path. You know, it's possible.
Yeah, I will say there increasingly there are nurses and physicians that become CEOs of hospitals and hospital systems.
Okay.
And I think it's because, you know, understanding how patient care is delivered is really, really important. Now, it's really important to have good business leaders, financial leaders in the organization, but often your general leaders do have clinical backgrounds now. You see that very often. And I think it's because it's all about providing patient care and understanding, you know, how patient care needs to be provided.
So you're a year in at this point.
Yeah.
There are two paths that I want to go down. Let's start with any surprise. Let's start like, what is the most surprising thing? Because there's a follow up to that.
Yeah.
But what is the most surprising thing that you stumbled upon? What like a year later, you're looking back like, oh, I didn't think this was going to be part of the job.
I don't know that there were a lot of surprises. I was chief operating officer for 24
Well,
years.
that's true. Okay.
So
Saw a lot.
Yes, I saw a lot. And even though my job as COO was only at Strong, we partnered with Highland all the time. So I was really fairly familiar with, both systems. So I think one of the things that was surprising this year is the growth we're seeing at Highland Hospital. We have so many more patients at Highland than we've ever had before. And it's been really remarkable watching the increase in both surgical patients, as well as a lot of older people tend to use Highland Hospital as their go-to hospital, which is great because I think there are great programs at Highland for people. And there has been huge growth, as you know, Mark, from being on the board, huge growth at Highland Hospital.
Enormous. I mean, and the tower that was
Yes.
just completed.
Yes.
It's filled.
Yes, completely filled. Yes.
completely filled.
And in fact, there was one floor in the tower that was not completed because it wasn't, people weren't quite sure what it wanted to be, and that's under construction now.
There we go.
That will be a post-op recovery unit, so we're really excited about expanding
It
that.
really is remarkable. There's just
Yeah.
U of R has a larger campus, but still, there's not enough space for the U of R for Strong. Like, and they just keep building up and up.
Yeah.
Highland that's a postage stamp size of a campus.
Yes.
But you
Yes.
continually have to build upward.
Yeah, and that is a challenge at Highland. It's embedded right in the neighborhood.
Yeah, right.
So there's really not a lot of surface space to build around. So we're looking at how we can expand the emergency department there, which is seeing more and more patients than they've ever seen before. So we're evaluating ways to really renovate that in a way that fits in and blends in with the campus. So that's a major initiative of ours now.
I think in the past 5 years, maybe 10 years, I've had to go to an emergency room on 4 occasions.
Yeah,
Always went to Highland.
yeah,
Because the service was just one.
Yeah.
I didn't. It wasn't critical. I wasn't.
Yes.
So Strong. You go to Strong for certain things.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, where am I going to go? And the first experience there, like you got in very quickly. People were great.
Yeah.
The service was incredible. And so I'm a huge fan of the services that are provided in the emergency room in particular.
Yeah.
But let me go down that other path though. The other path was. My sense is that there are so many changes that are going on in healthcare right now. In particular, over the course of the past week, as a result of the
Yeah.
passage of the federal budget and how
Yeah.
that's going to impact Medicaid,
Yeah.
is this the greatest change, not in terms of
Yeah.
technology or the delivery of medicine itself, but in terms of the delivery of healthcare writ large? Is this the largest change since probably the Affordable Care Act?
Yeah, this looks like it will be creating very significant change. The Affordable Care Act, as you know, the whole purpose of that was to increase the
Yes.
number of people that had health insurance. Because without health insurance, you really only have access to an emergency department. You don't have access to scheduled visits if you have no ability to pay or no insurance. And so if you have a problem, you go to the emergency department. But usually that occurs when you're really, really sick. You're not getting regular checkups or regular evaluations by a clinician. So the Affordable Care Act was all about developing these, expanding Medicaid, which New York had already done pretty significantly, but many other states expanded Medicaid, given federal funding
Yep.
that came into the states to help support the Medicaid program. And as you know, Medicaid is supported by the state, and the federal government matches
Yep. Yep.
expenses. So the Affordable Care Act actually provided more federal funding and some requirements that allowed states to expand Medicaid. It also created these essential plans, these new ACA plans. And these plans had a number of different financing arrangements with federal funding that allowed people that had income too high for Medicaid, but still did not have employment arrangements or the affordability to purchase their own commercial insurance. So these were plans that many people found affordable and were able to get these ACA, or what we call essential health plans. The current budget reconciliation bill that was just passed, that is markedly reducing the funding and the tax breaks and the tax advantages for those essential plans. So we will likely see fewer people covered by those plans, and it's markedly changing the eligibility for the Medicaid program. There's a number of things they've written into the bill that are going to be requirements now for the Medicaid program that weren't there in the past.
80 hours a month in terms of
Yeah,
volunteer work
the work
or
requirements, yes, the work requirements is certainly one. And the other thing that is counterintuitive for us in the hospital industry is the frequency of the redetermination of eligibility for Medicaid. So today, once you're eligible for Medicaid, and most people that are on Medicaid, because of the process, they find it very challenging to get all the paperwork together that they need to, and to get it to the right place. So all hospitals today, Strong and Highland certainly, we hire people that help individuals with that process. Now it's going to be on an annual basis, I believe. Very frequently, you have to redetermine eligibility.
Every year?
So that all that paperwork, all that bureaucracy has to happen on a frequent basis.
And most people on Medicaid, so many of them are working. So if you're a working
Yes.
mom or a working
Yes.
dad, you've got 2 or 3 kids, and then a mountain of paperwork to push
To
through. Yes.
complete. And then, the hospitals have to hire more people to help individuals get their Medicaid insurance. So it's estimated that over 11 million people will lose Medicaid
And
in the
I heard,
country.
I've been reading 17 million.
Yes,
It's somewhere in
yes,
that
those
neighborhood.
numbers are huge, depending on how you look at the calculations. Those numbers are huge, which means that they will not have insurance to have doctor's visits or other kinds of healthcare services. So typically what happens in those situations is people just hang in there unless they're deathly ill or very ill, and then they present to the emergency department, where we must take care of those individuals. But oftentimes it's taking care of them at a higher cost
Right.
because they didn't have the preventive care that they needed. So it is a mess, and it is. We're meeting regularly on how we're going to manage through all of these dramatic changes.
All right, so let's go through some of these numbers.
Yeah.
Highland Hospital annual budget of approximately $500 million, 490.
Around 600 million.
Okay, is it
yeah.
600? Okay, great. According to what I'm understanding, and again, I haven't read this thing,
Yeah.
cover to cover. You have, Corey.
I mean,
of course.
obviously, fine tooth
Yeah.
comb,
Yeah,
every
exactly.
letter, every.
But Medicaid accounts for about 20% of
About
that?
20%, yeah, Strong a little higher.
Okay.
Yeah. And certain populations, like the Children's Hospital and our psych hospital at Strong, the Medicaid numbers are much higher than that.
I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine. That makes
often
sense.
people with mental illness have trouble with working, have
Sure.
trouble holding down a job, so don't have the opportunity for commercial insurance or insurance through their employer.
Exactly.
And children are often, again, childhood illnesses often create huge financial burdens for families, and so they're often covered by the Medicaid program, particularly children that are technology dependent or have significant
Okay.
problems.
Yeah. All right, so let's go. $600 million a year, thereabouts,
Yeah.
annual budget. 20% of your budget, 20% of Highland's budget comes from Medicaid.
Right.
We're slated, or these hospitals are slated, Medicaid benefits are slated to decrease, I'm understanding about 10%,
Yes.
meaning that Highland alone is looking at
Yes.
$12 million being sliced from their state reimbursements, their federal
Yes.
reimbursements, over the course of the next year.
Yes.
In addition to the costs that are going to be associated with now administering some of these programs. Do I have this correct?
Yeah, and the numbers, there's a wide range there, but it isn't insignificant. Yes, it's millions of dollars lost in terms of people falling off Medicaid but still needing care,
Right.
or the Medicaid rates being lowered so that we get paid a lot less for taking care of patients that are covered by the Medicaid program.
Okay, so how do you bridge the gap?
Well, that's what we're spending hours working together.
Oh, so you're working on this?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
good.
We've begun
about it.
meeting as a leadership team now for the past month, recognizing that something was going to happen. We were hoping it wasn't going to be as draconian as this latest bill was. based on the Senate changes that they made to the House bill.
Yeah.
And the House then just approved it. So we are meeting and looking at all sorts of strategies but our goal is to really focus on the clinical needs and try desperately not to make any adjustments or cuts to our clinical teams, because that's where patient care needs to provide. Now, that's going to be hard to do given the magnitude of some of these cuts. We'll have to be looking at our programs too that we provide. And do we have to consolidate some of our programs to provide them more efficiently, given the decreases in payment?
And
I don't want to get into too many specifics because we are still really working hard on it, but it's going to be a challenge, and there will be impact to our community.
And I'm not being polite when I say this. This is, and it's so interesting, the word draconian is not a word that you hear. I think it's a word that is increasingly going to become popular in the U.S. lexicon.
Sure.
These cuts are draconian. I really mean it, Kathy. I am so thrilled that you're at the helm, because I know your intellect, I know your skill set, your ability. You're the right person at the right time. So I'm so glad that you're at the helm right now, and that you're going to be trying to figure out how to bridge this gap. It's insane.
Well, thanks, Mark, for that vote of confidence. But I'm really glad that there are wonderful other leaders in our organization that I'm working with. We have great nursing leaders, medical leaders, administrative leaders that are all really joining together around how do we manage this, because our commitment is to provide care for people that need it. That's been our missions at Strong and Highland. And I will say, I think that's Rochester, healthcare in general across the Rochester community has been very focused on making sure we can meet the needs of our community. We want to keep our communities healthy. We want people to realize their full potential, and you cannot realize your full potential if you don't have good health.
Insane. And this is, we're talking about one or two hospitals here. This is reverberating throughout the entire country.
Yes.
And potentially, I'm understanding, 300 or so hospitals, mostly rural.
Yes.
Are probably going to shutter their doors over the course of the next few years.
Yeah, and that is a real risk, especially in communities. You get outside of Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, and you get rural pretty quickly. But the geography, the driving distance, from the southern tier to Rochester isn't short. It can be a couple hours from the southern border. So we need hospitals, and we own hospitals in those regions, because it is important. There are certain services you want people to have close to home. And we've done a great job, I think, in developing cancer services, primary care, other kinds of services out in those communities. But if one of the other things in this bill is the directed state-directed payments directly to some of these rural hospitals will disappear. Yeah. And without those, you're right, the ability of those hospitals to be able to pay their staff, manage their programs, keep their facility modernized and in top working order is going to be a big challenge. Now, New York State, I think we're fortunate. In New York State, there's a real commitment on the part of New York to really support the healthcare mission, but without that federal match and the federal support, it is going to be challenging for our state officials as well.
You touched on a bit ago. Maybe you can elaborate. Just Rochester used to be known for Kodak and Xerox, these big companies, right? I would argue that the healthcare industry is one of the biggest now that we have, and it's really driving a lot of even our economy. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, that's another really important topic to talk about, and not only in Rochester, but in all of the communities where we have hospitals. In most communities, the hospital is the biggest employer. Hospitals and school districts tend to be the bigger employers now in many of upstate New York communities. And you're right, people's livelihood comes from working in those organizations or in related fields related to education and healthcare. So the impact on employment can't be underestimated as well.
How has staffing been? I know that was a challenge for a bit.
Yeah, I think the pandemic really was, really did a number.
The burnout had to be insane.
The burnout and the fear of working in a healthcare setting. And I think I think the other aspect is that many industries really converted to options for remote working. And we did as well. In the hospital industry, we were able to look at people that do our billing and manage medical records, and there are certain functions that can be done remotely, and we've been able to provide those remote working opportunities for many individuals. But you can't do that for care providers.
Sure.
Telemedicine has been helpful for our physicians and nurse practitioners in terms of seeing patients via a virtual modes, but there is still a lot of healthcare that has to be done in person 24/7. But I will say, in the past year, we have seen a resurgence in the number of people entering, and a good barometer for me is enrollment in our nursing schools in our
Yep.
region.
Thank God,
And
thank God, right?
We're seeing an uptick in enrollment in those schools. We are doing a lot with our local colleges as well as our own schools to really support scholarship opportunity, career advancement opportunities in those schools, so that we can then hire graduates, upon completion.
It's a feeder system, yeah.
It's a feeder system. And I have to say that one of the bright spots is the fact that we're seeing more and more people interested in healthcare as a career. And we didn't see that for several years, mid-pandemic and in the, even through 2023, early 24, we weren't seeing that interest in healthcare that we're starting to see today. So I'm optimistic about that.
And nursing in particular, I mean, so many nurses, it seems, are leaving I'm going to spend my time in the hospital, I'm going to change bedpans, whatever. Noble work. But when you've got traveling nurse organizations dangling, what is it, $150 an hour?
Well, yeah, at a peak, it was well above that number. The rates now are below that.
Okay, good. So what are the rates?
Well, the rates, it ranges. If you're a basic med-surg nurse, it might be under 100 now. If it's a specialty cath lab nurse or ICU nurse, operating room nurse, it could be more. And those rates, it's supply and demand.
Right.
As the number of places needing contract workers drops, the rates drop.
But still, it remains. The traveling nurse is elevated above what it is that a traditional nurse. And so many people are interested in doing that.
Yeah.
The allure of travel, the higher paycheck. We really are at a disadvantage in terms of a deficit when it comes to having good nursing skill.
Right, and one of the things we're doing is really focusing hard on our rates, the growing rates with growing hourly rates associated with experience and particularly specialty experience. We are really working hard to hire more of our own, and a part of our goal at both Strong and Highland is to reduce the dependency on travel nurses or on these contracted staff. We have always, hospitals have always used contracted staff, to cover maternity absences when you open new units and have surges of some sort. We've always used travel or contracted staff to a certain degree, never to the degree that we used during the pandemic and then shortly after. With a growing number of individuals in nursing schools, we are finding many more people interested in coming to work directly for us, which has been exciting. And again, we promote some of the benefits that we have, which often travel companies don't have. The teamwork in terms of making sure that it's a good work environment for our nurses, so that working at Strong and Highland is something they want to do. They don't want to have to travel and look for the next assignment. They want to work somewhere where they know the team members and really feel good about what they do.
Well,
so that's been our strategy.
Opportunity for growth too. I mean, just as you experienced, right? You're not really getting that, I'm assuming, if you're traveling.
Yes, if you're traveling, you're basically filling shifts.
Yeah.
Right, and it's important work. I don't want to denigrate individuals that travel because a lot of people do it for the reasons you just mentioned. They want to see the world and work in different places.
Sounds tiring after a while, to be honest.
Yeah, it does to me, for
It's cool
sure.
for like 2 months, and then
It sounds very much like being a flight attendant. Like probably a younger person's, and they get to travel the world, but after a short while, it's just like, what? I just need to sleep in my bed tonight, and I need to have some stability underneath me. So I'm glad to hear, though. I didn't know there are increasing numbers. I mean, we've got so many different nursing programs. I mean, U of R
Yes.
obviously is like incredible.
Yeah.
St. John Fisher, Nazareth, I think, has a program.
Nazareth, St. John Fisher, Roberts Wesley, and Brockport just expanded.
that's
In
right,
fact,
Brockport
you
did,
just
yeah.
read they created a school of nursing instead of just a department of nursing education, which is real exciting. And we provide clinical placements at Strong and Highland for students from all of those schools.
And then even MCC has their basic, you know.
MCC,
yep, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And they do a lot with training X-ray techs and sterile processing technicians. MCC's been a great partner,
Awesome.
as have the other schools in this region.
This feels kind of like in general we're just doing a much better job as a community of retaining these graduates, because again the knock was always they'd come here, they get their
Right.
degree, and then they're out of here.
Yeah, I think so many young adults, and having young adult children myself, you see people move away to big cities, New York, Boston, East Coast cities, and then they have families.
Yeah.
And
Yep,
want to
come
come
back.
back.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And we, in terms of our employees, and we have a number of employees that have done that. In their younger years, they've worked elsewhere. We welcome them back, and Rochester is a great place to raise a family. There's great opportunities in healthcare in Rochester, so I'm real keen on Rochester.
I know I speak for Corey, as are we. I mean, absolutely. But it is also interesting, concomitantly, you're seeing these hurricanes blowing through Florida and
Absolutely.
the tragedy that just took place out in Texas last weekend, and these flash
gosh.
floods, and the
Yeah.
fires out in California, and then just the ability to survive 114-degree heat. If you're
Yes.
living in Arizona.
Yeah, I couldn't handle the 80-degree heat. It's brow sweat immediately upon
Yeah.
walking outside.
Yeah. Increasingly, this is going to be a
I
destination.
tell you, I am a big Great Lakes fan. I've only lived outside of Cleveland, in Chicago, outside of Chicago, and Rochester, so always on a Great Lake. And fresh water. It is all about
Tons of fresh water.
and
Yep.
the
Hard to have.
climate here.
Finger Lakes on top of it. Yep. Yeah.
And the Finger Lakes on
Yep.
top of it.
Yeah.
so-
Indeed. Did you? So you alluded earlier to. I want to go back to your roots. The segue here is having grown up on the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
You're one of eight children. Is
Yeah.
that right?
I have 7 siblings, yes.
And so
This is how you handle chaos. I get it now. It makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
This is normal.
Yeah, that's right. I'm used to a lot going on.
do you have the privilege of still seeing your siblings?
I do. In fact, we have the sibling reunion every year, and then we have a sibling extended family, cousins, nieces, nephews
wow.
reunion every other year, and it was just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's great. So where do you meet?
It varies. This past time we met outside of Asheville,
Okay.
a place called Sapphire.
Oh,
Wonderful resort, lots of things to do, tennis, pickle.
There we go.
And lots of hiking and kayaking and freshwater. Beautiful part of the country.
That's
in
great.
North Carolina, just south of Asheville.
Okay.
and then when you said, so there's the immediate family reunion, and then there's a larger, the extended. How many are as part of the extended?
Oh gosh, it's 40 to 50. I mean, it's multiple houses.
Okay.
Yeah, multiple houses. 40 to 50 people for a week or part. Now as the kids get older, they've got jobs, they can't be there the whole week. But almost everyone tries to show up, even if it's for the front weekend or the back weekend.
That's nice. Duffy, my partner, he comes from a very, very large family.
Yeah.
He's one of 8 kids. He's got, still living, and we still see like 32 or so first cousins.
Yeah.
And then all their children, and I'd say 3-4 times a year, 5 times a year, we're getting together, and that's really, really nice. This weekend, I'm actually looking forward to the fact. I don't think you even know this. This weekend, looking forward to the fact that my cousins, who I saw them at their mother's funeral probably 15, 20 years ago. I'm going to see them for the first time in probably 40 years, 35, 40 years. They're coming to
wow.
Hammondsport. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
Very, very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, family's important, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Anything else for Kathy?
Kathy, is there anything else you want to tell us? Any other concerns that we should be aware of as a community in terms of healthcare? It's so important, and increasingly, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think what I haven't talked about here is the community agencies and organizations, because they're being cut too. If you think of nutrition programs, SNAP cuts in the special nutrition program for people. So Lifespan is having services cut. So it isn't, we have a wonderful community of really strong agencies that partner with the hospitals, partner with healthcare in terms of trying to provide services for individuals that need them. And so they're suffering as well. And I think it's really important that we pay attention to that as well as we think about some of the changes that we're facing over the next several years. It's important to think not only about hospitals and healthcare. That is critical. I don't want to underestimate that. But it's also the other agencies that we rely on as well that are struggling. Our nursing homes are struggling, and that's something New York State is trying desperately to address.
With an aging population, that's gonna
aging
be,
population, and what we probably need is more supportive housing opportunities. And I work with a couple of organizations that are really committed to that. Not everyone needs a nursing home bed, but they do need supportive housing. And supportive housing can be less expensive than long-term care. So I think that's one of the challenges we need to think about and advocate for at the state level. How do we invest in housing, supportive housing, housing with some services for individuals?
Well, as I'm sitting here thinking about this, I mean, Rochester is, at this point, incredibly vulnerable. So everything you've described would have been dealt with differently 50 years ago. Kodak, Xerox, Bausch & Lomb would have each picked up a pen. They would have written their check to the United Way, and so many of these problems. But as Kodak, Xerox, Bausch & Lomb have either gone bankrupt or downsized, they're not. And Danny can't do it all.
Absolutely,
he can't do it all.
As philanthropic, Wegmans has been wonderful.
Thank God for the Wegmans family, absolutely. But he can't do it all. So here we are now, having to deal with all these cuts that are coming, that are being foisted upon us. As a result of what's playing out in Washington right now, and then we don't have the generosity. Well, we still have the generosity, but we don't have the big name companies here. And then we had Jamie on a few months ago. And she's talking about the cuts that she's experiencing and the difficulties that the United Way is experiencing, and the fewer dollars that she has to allocate to try and plug these holes. We are incredibly vulnerable right now, and we're being hit in both ways. And I think this community, this city, has some very, very difficult times ahead of us.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And it's United Way that funds many of the agencies that I just mentioned.
Yes,
so you're right. Yes, absolutely.
But Jeff Bezos had an awesome wedding in Milan. In Venice, just 2 weeks ago.
Well, and Katy Perry got to go to space. That was probably inexpensive.
And I won't tend toward that too much. But listen, I'm a capitalist. I mean, I'm in business. I own my own business. This is really tragic. This is very sad. So we'll see where it takes us. But again, you're at the helm, so I'm rooting for you and
thanks,
for the health.
We've got a steady
My
hand
pleasure,
for sure.
yeah.
So
should we get to a little bit of Rochester news?
absolutely. What do you got for us?
This is something that Kathy's going to be interested in. The Sports and Recreation Complex. Have you heard about this?
No.
So a $65 million sports and recreation complex. It'll be going in. There's a 5-acre lot southeast of Rochester. That was purchased for $5 million back in February of this year. And this thing's going to be pretty impressive. 8 flexible use artificial turf ball fields for baseball and softball, 12 pickleball courts.
I love that.
There you
Going
go.
in, 2 multi-purpose fields, outdoor basketball, playgrounds, concessions, a restroom, gathering spaces, trails. And there's a 14-member community working group that's focusing on setting up tournaments. That's kind of be the basis of the business of these tournaments coming in from out of the area, and then people can rent out the spaces as well within the community after the fact.
And this is privately funded?
It came through the city. The city council approved it 5-2.
Wow.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know about that. I love that the concept was talk about health-related services.
Yeah.
I mean, exercise,
Getting out there,
gathering,
move your body, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great.
And they're targeting a May 2027 opening for this.
Wonderful.
So very early in the beginning of the phases.
And you said southeast quadrant?
Southeast of the city. Yep. There's a 160-acre land parcel. That was what was purchased.
Did they talk about where?
I don't have the survey map in front of me.
Well, when you do, let us know. Yeah, thanks.
I'll
I'll start
Out
grilling
Victor
you.
Way, kind of maybe, or East.
I don't know.
Because I'm wondering, like,
where?
if it's approved by city council, you
gotta
would
be
think that
within
it'd be
gotta
within
be
the
in the
It's in city limits,
Yes,
yeah.
city
Yeah,
limits.
so-
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
there's
I'm just trying to-
160 acre land
I'm trying to
parcel.
think, 160 acres in the city? I'm
Lot of
trying to
land.
think where. Get back to us on that. Because,
I'll put a pin in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's very, very interesting. Yeah.
And then, Mark, you're going to want to do this for sure.
Oh, I can't wait.
The Rock City Skate Park Phase 2.
Oh, yeah.
20 years in
Oh.
the making.
There we go. Can't wait.
Is actually happening with an opening slated for fall of next year. They're adding a 13,000 square foot street style skate features with ledges, rails, stair sets, flat ground. You can do some tricks, Mark. Get out there for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll get out my knee
And
pads.
mandatory helmets.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And it was funded by a $3 million New York State grant back from 2023, rather, which is now going.
Oh,
into
that's great. That's fantastic.
Things are happening. Look
All
at
right,
that.
that's great.
Yeah.
Anything with pop culture.
We always love to ask
Yeah.
about pop culture. Are you reading anything, listening to anything, seeing anything that you want to share with everybody? Make it good.
Gosh. That's a tough
That's
one.
a tough
Doesn't
one.
have time for it. You just hear what she does.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know,
I'm trying to think of what
really.
I.
The 3 minutes that you have between putting your,
Yeah.
your head on the pillow and falling
Yes.
asleep. What are you watching?
Yeah.
You think about that. I'm going to throw one out, which
Okay.
is Mobland.
Okay, yeah, you said this last week.
It's,
Good?
it's definitely it continues. I've read some reviews and like, no, it's predictable. It is very. I think it's very, very well done.
All right.
Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, Tom Hardy, like
Okay.
some
Good names.
Yeah, some really good names. And it really is increasingly. I was thinking the first episode I was like, this is sort of a marriage between sort of like classic gangster films or mafioso films, that kind of thing, and the television series Succession. And with
Yeah.
the passing of a few more episodes, I'm realizing,
its own thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm excited about. The Bear season 4.
Oh, okay,
just
you're a Bear
released.
fan.
Yeah, I do. I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
I started watching the first 20 minutes of the first episode. Well, Duffy and I owned a restaurant.
Okay.
So I watched the
there
first
you
20
go.
minutes. Yeah, I was like, no,
You had
PTSD.
Oh, it's too
like,
close.
yeah,
It's too
yeah.
close.
PTSD
Okay,
flashbacks.
too close.
You don't have a script pad. You're not a physician. I need Valium or something watching it. It's just like
Okay,
it's just so
okay.
so
Too-
stress inducing.
yeah, yeah.
How true? How true was it? Pretty accurate?
I only watched the first 20 minutes. Like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah.
but I guess there are all these cameos of like Gary Keller and like all these really world famous chefs.
Yeah.
Who just like you'll see them walking in the background or something.
Yes.
Or, yeah. So you've made it all the way to season 4.
I've made it all the way to season 4, and it's just released, so I was real excited to hear that.
Oh, that's
Absolutely.
great. Oh, that's good. Corey,
Yeah.
anything?
You're never going to guess.
Something having to do with the kids?
No.
What?
I just powered through. It's on Netflix.
What?
Mark's not going to watch it.
Oh, what is it?
What?
All of the Sharks.
Oh.
Alex, have you watched it? It's like kind of a reality show. All right, I don't think you know this about me. Deep fascination with sharks. I think I
Really?
watched
Do you
Jaws.
love Jaws?
I watched Jaws way too early as a kid, and I think it scarred me a
My
little bit.
kids still watch Jaws.
Same
I mean,
deal,
they're
yeah.
adults.
Yeah, it's
they
terrifying.
watch Jaws
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
40 times
I
Really?
didn't
over
go.
the course of when they were young, and they still love to.
Jaws
find
just
it.
celebrated its 50th
it
anniversary.
50?
Yeah,
Yeah,
50
there
years,
you
like
go.
2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, something like
I
that.
love that movie.
I was terrified
Oh
of
my
going
gosh.
in the ocean for I don't know until I literally lived
Yeah.
at the beach. And I kind of got over that fear a little bit,
Yeah.
but this deep fascination. So it's about a reality show. There's these different. Look at the
Yeah.
zoom in on Mark's face as I'm describing this.
I'm fascinated by this. Like,
There's 4 different teams of shark experts that they go around to all these different locations in the world and they dive, and it's a game. They have to photograph all these different sharks, and you get certain points for the rarity of the species. I don't know. It's
that does sound interesting.
It was
Honestly, like
interesting.
you're reframing
good sell?
it. Yeah.
Good
Like,
sell?
well, that was a better sell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
alright.
I'm not quite sold, but
yeah. But yeah, so basically they go to they were in Bimini, they went to Tokyo. Apparently Tokyo was like an
Wow.
incredible
Great
shark
Barrier.
dive
They
site.
must be the Great Barrier. Yeah.
Yep, they went to Australia, they went to South Africa. The Galapagos was actually the last spot they ended up at.
Oh wow.
So
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
just these beautiful scenes, and obviously, all the sea creatures. So I don't know,
Oh, cool.
I was into it.
All right,
all
well,
right.
good to know. A
There you
shark
go.
guy.
Yeah.
I am. I'll leave you with this. I am. Last night they had the first episode of Quarterback. 2 years ago, and Netflix
okay, yeah.
had that great documentary series on It was called Quarterback. Last year they did Receivers, and they're back to quarterbacks this year. So this season. So I'm looking forward to it.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect, as we are almost to Bill's camp. We're
Yeah,
getting there.
we're
That's
well,
right.
Bill's camp is just what, a month away,
Or
3
not
weeks
even.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A few
2 weeks away.
weeks,
Yeah.
right? A
Yeah.
few weeks away.
Can't wait. I always love that.
Yeah.
Do you go?
I haven't been there, although my granddaughters, granddaughter goes to St. John Fisher, and so they go out to the games. And actually, funny story. Josh Allen took a selfie with one of their cameras, and so they have a picture of him up close
That's
and
great.
all the kids behind them, waving and just having a great time. So he is just such a great guy. I love it.
There aren't many. I mean, I want to have a beer with that guy.
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah.
Generally beloved.
I
would
don't,
say,
I, don't,
right?
Yeah.
I don't want to talk sports with him. I just ask him how he's doing. Seriously,
Yeah.
he just seems like a good guy.
And-
Travis Kelce is another one. Just seems like a really good guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So do you want to go? I mean, do you want to go to? I'll give you a call in a couple of
Yeah.
weeks. I'll give you a call if you want to go to training camp. Absolutely, we'll do
Yeah.
that. All right.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Well, thank you again for joining us. Appreciate your
Yes,
time.
well, my pleasure. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got to get her out of here because I think
there's
she's
lots
got
to
like
do.
a
Yeah.
14-hour day ahead
Okay.
of her.
All right.
That's
Thank
right.
you so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. Talk to you again next week.